What is up, ninjas? My name is Semworld, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you guys how to utilize organic samples, found recordings, or just samples that you've recorded with your iPhone recording or a recorder in real life to create them into drums. You could be hitting a water bottle, you could be rasping two knives together before you murder someone, you know, it could be any of that, but you can use those recordings in order to create drums for your track that sound fresh, that sound new. Now, in order to have these fresh new drums you're going to be creating fit your track, you still have to have a little bit of the original drums there. For instance, you can use the same kicks, you can use the same hats, but everything else could be fresh. You could do rolling hats that are different, or you can do rolling hats that are the same but make the open hats sound a bit different, bit new. Essentially what you're gonna have is, since the people recognize the kick and the hat already, everything else you add in there they're just gonna assume is techno drums, and that is one way to do it. Similar to how sound designers that create sounds for, let's say, CGI animals out there, they will use real animal recordings and then layer them with new fresh recordings of stuff they created and layer it together to sell the effect, so that when people hear it, it's sold a lot better to them because they recognize the animal sound in there, but that fresh new layer on top makes it something new. And we're gonna take that same theory, that same technique, and use it here, use it for your drums. So if you ever want to do something new, keep a little bit of the old there, but then add that new stuff to sell it and get people to like it because they recognize the old that they already like. With that being said, guys, if you guys want to support my channel, I also released a sound stick called Paradox, 150 serum presets in the style of modern techno. It has a lot of aggressive sounds in there, and if you guys want to check it out and you want to support my channel, I'll leave the link in the description down below. But with that being said, let's get to sampling, let's get to creating some fresh new drums for techno, let's get to the techniques needed to do it, and I'll see you guys inside of Ableton. Alright guys, and welcome inside of Ableton. Now, when it comes to ever trying something new and trying to put fresh new drums that people have never heard of in your tracks, it really comes down to a little bit of balance of having something that people recognize already, that they've heard in every techno track. That could be the offbeat hat. You could leave as original sample, but then everything else could be a bit different, still resembling what we know as hats, claps, and whatnot, but, you know, a bit different. And that is the key, because that is what we are doing today. Alright guys, so as I told you guys can choose to just record samples outside utilizing a field recorder like this one, the Task M1. If you have a mic, your iPhone, you can also do it, and then trying to process these sounds to resemble techno. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this pack which has done that for us, where they've recorded things and they've labeled certain things, that this could be a kick, this could be a clap, and whatnot. Now for the kick and the hat, the offbeat hat, I'm gonna use the traditional offbeat hat and the traditional kick to get the rhythm, you know, starting off right. All right, so for the hat, I'm going to use the Engineering Samples Techno Minds, which I've already recommended to you guys. It's a good pack for techno. It has a lot of good stuff in there to use. And we're just going to use an offbeat hat. So I'm going to use this one, number 5. Seems to have a really good kind of vibe to it. So we're going to add that. And let's just level everything a little bit proper here. Okay, and let's just close that up there, and there we go. All right, so we're gonna have our RFB hat and our kick ready to go, and everything else is gonna be experimental drum sound designing or sampling in a way. Okay, once we have that, pretty much we can get to work. So I'm gonna use this found pack to do that. So let's check out their hats first. Let's use this rattle here. You know, essentially I have the rattle and I have the whole source of this sound, you know, which sounds pretty cool. But I just want a certain element from it, and that element's probably going to be one of the shots that can be found here or here. So maybe this one. We can use that as a rolling hat, and that's what we're going to be doing with this, okay? So let's make that, and then here we go. So we're just going to have it like so. And we can actually have this go like, you know, so that'll be kind of cool here. So we're going to do that for this, and we're going to have that loop there. Let's just get it going. Now, of course, you're going to have to EQ it and kind of make it resemble more of a hat. So I'm going to use an EQ8 for that. And we're going to get rid of some of the lows on that. Now, I'm going to consolidate that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is maybe down pitch it a little. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to widen it with a Haas effect. Like I stated, guys, in the previous video, a lot of times you don't want your drums to just sit on top of each other. You want to treat them with a bit of a stereo field enhancement. Have your offbeat hat be in mono. Well, have your rolling hats be wide, or have your rolling hats be mono. Have your open hat be a little bit wider. I'm also going to EQ this a bit. I'm going to add a bit of reverb as well to this, just to give it a bit more atmosphere here. The reverb doesn't have to be that big. Let's do it at maybe 1 second. And let's bust these guys, in fact, and let's put the reverb on the bus so it kind of meshes them together a bit. I'm still not happy with this, so let's see. I'm gonna use this transient here. When we put that in one direction, we're pretty much shortening it. So pretty much Ableton's looking at the transients and then shortening this. Get it right, maybe a little bit. Let's add this MPC 16 double down, and we're gonna increase here the quantize. I just want a little bit of it. So the velocity here is dealing with the swings, volume automations that happen. This is gonna be the MPC 16 double down. So essentially, it gets quieter, so I don't want it to go that quiet because it ruins kind of like the flow of it. So we're gonna have it. I'm also gonna add a bit of a saturator to this, and just a little sidechain to it. I don't like my hats just being like that. I always like to add just a hint of sidechain to give it a little bit more. Alright, dope. So that's going to be pretty much our hats as of now. Now let's keep going here. Let's see what else we have. What else we can do with this. So let's see. Maybe we can grab maybe something tonal. Or that could be a good shot there that we can use. Now, in essence, you know, essentially what we're doing, guys, is sound design. But instead of using a synth, we're using samples. We're starting off with a source and mangling that source to make it into something new. So here I'm going to use this guy. And maybe use it at a lower octave. I don't want the whole thing, so I'm gonna mess with here the envelope, lower the sustain, so we don't have a, it's just like that. Okay, cool. And then let's see here, we can do a bit of decay. Okay, and we're gonna have it here and create a beat with it. And let's see, I kind of like it there, so let's see if we can do something. I like it. I like it. Let's see. Let's add a filter to this so we don't get the whole sound. And we're going to open it up here with the... This is the distortion. Okay, we're going to EQ that now. And let's kind of get rid of this part. We need to get it a bit louder, so let's use the limiter for that. And let's see how that sounds. I'm going to add a bit of a reverb. Saturation is needed just to give it a bit more oomph to it. Let's get rid of this low frequency. We're going to put an EQ after that. So signal flow there is very important because the saturator is adding more frequency. You can see here. So what I want to do is get rid of some of the highs. Fucking dope. And let's add a echo delay in the return if we can to get some interesting stuff. So I love the echo, and I've made a video on it explaining everything in there that you could do with it. So I suggest you guys watch it if you guys are curious on that. But here I'm just going to go with maybe a 1/8 time or 1/4 because the sound doesn't play for a while, and then maybe have this be a little bit, a lot of it going to C. Okay, let's go notes. Maybe 1/8 would be a bit better, and let's EQ it so that we only get maybe like the mid lows. So that's what we're getting from. I feel like this needs a bit more bottom end. The problem is we don't have it because we have this nasty ass. Maybe we can leave it in and EQ it out a bit here. I'm also going to make this be ping pong so it has a bit of width. And then maybe a bit more feedback. 1/16 maybe. There we go. Maybe like so. Awesome. There we go. All right, now that we have that, let's see what else we have that we can mess with to add to our little drum progression here. So essentially here we can maybe find something that we can mess with. See, like that could be something cool we can maybe use. It's a bus rattle. What can we do with that though? That is the question. Well, here you can see we have certain points of it where we can use sort of as instrumental, as a drum pattern, maybe at the end. So maybe I could reverse it. I don't know how that's gonna sound like. I like that, but let's see if we can get it a bit more on beat. So let's consolidate that. So it gives us values there. Here, maybe this guy on the off beat, this guy on the second, and then maybe this guy on the off there, and then this one. There we go. Now maybe what we can do is now maybe pitch it up. Complex Pro. Or go beats, maybe. Transient mode. We talked about. Okay, cool. That sounds pretty cool. So we just got to mess with it just a bit more. So we got to definitely EQ it and get it to sound the way we want. So what I'm going to... I don't like this. So I'm going to get rid of that if I can. Alright, cool. We're going to add a bit of reverb to that and see what comes out of it. Let's add a bit of saturation to that. I kind of want it to cut a bit more, be like a knife. There we go. And then let's okay, maybe not so high pitch. There we go. That seems a lot better. Okay. There we go. That kind of reverb. We really don't want to mess it up more with a shit ton of reverb. So let's. Maybe a little bit more. More decay. Okay, cool. Let's see. Is there anything we can do to this? Maybe like a very strong delay. The techno delay, as I like to call it. So the techno delay, we would just use a ping pong delay with a high feedback. Very fast. Time. You know what? Let's go fast and like in key. Okay, I think we're missing something like a shaker. So maybe we can find something that can sound like a shaker. The wind would actually be pretty cool if we use it here as sort of like a downlifter. So we could probably do. So we're gonna add that there. Use wind to kind of get that sound there. So let's see if we can pitch it down a bit or up. Complex. All right, guys, let's see if we can find other things that we can kind of use for this track. Maybe some effects would be kind of cool to have. So we need to find some sounds that have potential. Like this one, we might have potential. We do something called time stretching, where we grab the sample, hold shift, and you pull it. It has to be warped, though. And let's see how that sounds like. And just lower. Complex Pro. Lower the pitch. Oh, that beginning. That works really great. We're going to use that. We're going to put the techno delay on it. And, you know, I'm going to use a simple delay for this. I think it has to be the simple delay to do that effect that I want to do. Let's see if we can do it. Let's lower this down. Maybe phase it on purpose to comb. There we go. It needs to be pitched. There we go. So let's see what we would add. Maybe a little bit more decay. It could be pitched down a lot more for sure, and we can't go any more lower than that. We're going as low. Maybe pull it maybe a little. You know what? Let's do a reverse on this so we get like that. All right, there we go. Let's get rid of the highs. Alright guys, now I think the last thing to do would just be to add mainly, I guess, a roll. Now when it comes to these kind of sounds like the ding, you got to be careful because that sound is very kind of a sound that is out. It's not in key, but it's not out of key. It's weird. So if you play with other melodic content, you're gonna have to be really careful. If I want to fix this and make it so that I can put a melodic thing on top of it, you know, I'm gonna have to get rid of the A sharp. I checked it with the span, the A sharp and the E key, because those are keys that aren't in the same E minor scale. Let's just put it that way. So it sounds really off. So if I use, let's say, an A right now, we could try that with maybe like a pad here or like a big ass super saw. So we can definitely use that. Maybe put LFO tool on it just to see how it would sound like there. We're gonna put an EQ on it just to see if it can work with it. I already predict it won't, just because of the way that sounded. Let's put it in here. See if it's and let's see how that sounds like. Get it to sound. Let's get rid of the reverb in that preset. And let's use our own reverb on it in a return, man. That's the right way to do things. So the sound doesn't get, how would you say it, pushed to the back of the mix. Wait a bit. More reverb on this, more sound. Yeah, there you go. So I don't know if you want to do crazy stuff with this. Maybe like You know, but hopefully you guys get the idea on sampling, you know, like stuff that isn't necessarily drum samples, but using them in that way to get unique drums that sound different than what everyone else is using out there. You know, I've been getting comments on some of the techno videos like, yo, San, how come techno sounds all the same? Well, essentially it's because the theory behind it is that you need to have these things in order to make it sound like it's techno. Now, like I told you guys, if you want to sell something new, add new stuff in there, you do have to have a little bit of the old techno in there in terms of the kick, maybe the hat, but then everything else, you can do whatever the fuck you want to just make it to sound different. But this has been a tutorial just to show you guys that theory or that technique that you can utilize different things, sampling, time stretching, transposition, doing crazy things like that to get something that sounds pretty cool, get something unique, and most importantly, switch up the way you work on a track. Maybe you will make something cooler because you will have a lot more fun working a different way. But that's going to be the end of the video, guys. You guys take care and peace out.